Yes, indeed, it is. Once again, time for another episode of the Kanika Sports Show, everybody. I am your host, Kenny Time, on this microphone. And joining me once again, as always, is the one, the only. Drum roll, please. Thank you. Nika, everybody. Nika, the producer.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Kenny. Hello to our new returning listeners from all over the world. Welcome to our show.
Welcome. It's another episode. As you notice, the list keeps piling up quicker than ever, Nika.
Doesn't it?
We are busy. We are following sports galore over here on the Kanika Sports Show, and it's the busiest season of the year. We have NBA playoffs. We have WWE events happening. We have Major League Baseball going on daily. We have football. Off-season training programs are happening all across the league. So, of course, there's going to be news breaking. And, hockey's happening, too, if you're into that. We haven't been following it since the Blackhawks fell off the face of the earth. Once upon a time, we had a sound effect for that. Tough days. And, the NBA hasn't been too much better, though. The playoffs are happening, and I can't help but take notice. And
you have noticed.
I see the Wolves lost last night. They're down 3-1. I don't think it's looking so good. I don't know.
Well, they have a day off today.
They have a day off to recover. We'll see if they can do something about that. Hey, Nika, I'm wearing some green up here today. Do you know why?
Let me guess. Leprechaun? Money in the Bank.
Oh, there you go. The second answer was correct. Money in the Bank announcements are happening.
Yay.
We have some more confirmed participants after last night's WWE Raw, so stay tuned to the end of the show so we can talk about all of that. But speaking of green, Nika,
yeah,
I need to start today's episode in Boston, home of the Green Monster.
Ooh, okay.
And that's because... well, we have a little bit of Boston irony happening. It never fails, does it?
Nope.
As you can see here on slide number 1 today, Alex Cora told reporters that Alex Bregman is, quote, going to be out for a while, very similar to 2021. This is because he's suffered a significant quad injury, a strained quad, and this is where it's at. There is no timetable set for his return.
Is that his old injury reignited, or this is a new injury?
I mean, it's a new injury, but I think he's just going based off his own experience. I don't know if it's the same quad or the opposite leg or not. I honestly don't know. Two. Well, correct. I just don't know if it's the same one as the previous injury to warrant like that kind of it's a re-injury. I don't know.
Anyway.
Either way, it doesn't sound good at all. For what I know, he was out like 9 weeks last time this happened.
Oh, wow. So over 2 months. And this might be, if it's the same, might even be longer.
Absolutely. So this happened on Friday night's game, and this was against the Orioles. This was game 2 of a 4-game set at Fenway Park over the weekend against the Orange Birds. And Saturday morning, this got posted to Sports Illustrated, and I clipped this article a little bit by Blake Silverman. And it says, Alex Cora gives details on Alex Bregman's, quote, significant injury. Bregman is slated to miss significant time after suffering a quad injury Friday. And the caption on the picture says Boston Red Sox third baseman Bregman runs out of the dugout. So nothing really important there. But if you continue on with the article, Nika, we see Alex Cora here addressing the media in those lovely green uniforms, by the way. I really do dig the uniform more than I thought. It's obviously supposed to be a representation of the Green Monster, and it even has like the same font that is on the scoreboard itself and the wall.
It's almost minty green. I love it.
Yeah, I do like it a lot. It's really sharp. They nailed this one. And For a team named the Red Sox, I never would have guessed that I would love this jersey for them, but I do love this jersey for them.
I do too. And it's very Christmassy with red and green.
It is a little bit Christmassy. Good call. Yeah.
Anyway.
So anyways, Alex Cora addressing the media, and the article goes on. Boston Red Sox third baseman Alex Bregman left the team's game Friday after he came up awkwardly after rounding first base on a long single. The injury occurred in the first game of a day-night doubleheader with the Baltimore Orioles before he was ruled out of the night game with right quad tightness. The night game was eventually postponed and pushed the doubleheader to Saturday. So this was before all of this doubleheader madness happened on Saturday. And then it goes on and it continues. Oh, I think there's a double slide in there. My bad.
Yeah, there's Alex Cora.
Again.
Yes.
Okay. Let's skip ahead to the tweet. This is from Jen McCaffrey. And this says, Cora called Bregman's injury a significant injury. He'll be out for a while. He said it's similar to the 2021 quad strain Bregman had when he missed more than 50 games.
Ooh, ouch.
Yeah.
That's
this is
lot.
That 9 weeks I was talking about. So that's almost a third of the whole season.
Wow.
He said Marcello Mayer, will play all over the infield. And this was the interesting part at the end. No Devers at third. So...
interesting.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in 1 second. The Red Sox, the article goes on, and it continues. The Red Sox called up Marcello Mayer, their top infield prospect from AAA Worcester following Bregman's injury. The 22-year-old Mayer aims to provide some immediate help in the infield as he makes his major league debut. Cora named other Red Sox who can help at third base during Bregman's absence, including Ceddanne Rafaela, Nick Sogard, Abraham Toro, and Connor Wong. And not one of those names is Rafael Devers, although Ceddanne Rafaela is probably about as close as it gets.
Wow.
If you continue on in the article, it says Mayer is slated to make his MLB debut in the night game of Saturday's doubleheader with the Orioles. With Bregman slated to miss significant time, Boston's number 2 ranked prospect has a chance to fill a huge void in the infield. Before the injury, Bregman was slashing .299, .385, and .553 with an OPS plus of 159 in his first season with the Red Sox. That's really good. They're going to be missing him for a little bit, it sounds like. So yeah, this was huge, and I couldn't find and help but think that this is just one of the worst cases of baseball irony I've seen in a long time. You want to talk about if you don't believe in baseball gods before baseball karma or anything like that, maybe you should now, because this is baseball karma working itself in action.
Nature finds a way.
If Boston would have handled this whole situation differently in the offseason, they would be in a totally different spot with this right now. And they got greedy. You know, that's the bottom line. They tried to play fantasy baseball with their roster, and it's come back now to bite them significantly in the ass. And I'm not going to say that they shouldn't have signed Alex Bregman. You know, Alex Bregman's getting paid a lot of money over a shorter amount of time than Rafael Devers is. And if anyone should have learned and played another position in the infield, it should have been Alex Bregman. And if Alex Bregman was the starting second baseman when the season would have started, then we wouldn't be in this position now, because Rafael Devers would still be playing third base, and any one of these young prospects could have come up and played second base for Bregman when he got hurt.
Well, Bregman's resume includes second base.
Also, if you don't boot Rafi Devers off of third, you might have an easier time convincing him to go play first base when...
It's hard to play first base.
but when Tristan Casas got lost for the season, you might have an easier conversation there, because you didn't tell the guy, like, we don't want you to pick up your glove anymore. Like, you literally insulted the man.
Yeah. That was the wrong thing to say by a manager of all people. Yeah. You are a baseball, player. A mitt is part of your wardrobe.
Yeah.
Every day.
Nobody wants to be taken off the field.
Of course not.
It's a part of the team, and he's a team leader. So he wants to be out there with his troops, with his friends. And
absolutely.
Anyways, well, if you flip to the next slide, you can see here, Rafael Devers had a good Saturday. He got a walk-off hit, Nika.
Nice.
Unfortunately, I think that was the last time the Red Sox have won a game since this has happened. So they've now lost 2 straight, and they are fallen a couple games now below 500.
Okay.
So, yeah, Rafael Devers is not listed here amongst one of the potential people that could be replacing his replacement at third base.
What a nightmare situation.
All right. Well, I want to turn it over to Jones and Keefe. I found them. They are WEEI on the FM radio in Boston, and you can listen to them on Odyssey. It looks like the same exact setup here as 670 The Score in Chicago, if you're familiar. But this tweet, before we get into watching it here, it reads, "What do the Red Sox do to replace Alex Bregman? Keefe 21 has some ideas. Keep Marcelo Mayer at third. Consider kicking Trevor Story off the team." But we're going to listen to Jones here because Jones is not having that.
Okay.
Well, let's take a listen, Nika.
Bregman. Like, what do they even do?
Well, Meyer.
Is that it?
Meyer's your third baseman right now, but they need to really consider kicking Trevor Story off the team. He stinks. He's such an automatic out, or at least
He was such a
or
huge
move him
part
to
of their
second
team
and be like, dude, you got to play second
last year.
base.
The
Yeah.
documentary.
Campbell's going to play first, and Meyer can play his position at third.
short.
At short. What do you do at third? I know you're going to say Rafael Devers,
Well,
but it ain't going to be him.
But shouldn't Devers want to do that? He never wanted to move in the first place. Like, shouldn't he be like?
No, now he's locked in at DH.
Shouldn't he be shoving people out of the way
Yeah.
to go play third base? Shouldn't
All
he be
right,
like,
pause
no?
it. Pause it. You know what? He should for 29 other teams in the major leagues, but never, ever should he do that for Boston. Ever. Ever. Nika. Ever.
No disagreements here.
He should do that for all 29 other teams, though.
The way he was treated by the team,
No way.
and I understand when people come out and say, well, it's a team, you should do it for a team, you're a team player, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Yes, but you have to give the guy a respect, too, and treat him respectfully.
Yeah.
Before-
Especially the highest paid player on your team that
Exactly.
you want to play there for the next decade.
Instead
you
of-
might want to consider how you treat that person.
Exactly. Instead of saying, like, well, that happened in the previous regime, so we don't care. Really?
That's
That is
awful.
a cop-out.
You inherit these things when you take these jobs on. You know,
Imagine
and if
if
you didn't
everybody
want
worked like
Rafael
that.
Devers, like you owed him a conversation in the offseason and been like, hey, we're going to replace you at third. If that's not cool with you, do you mind if we shop your contract around? Are there any teams you'd like to play for?
Conversation, easy.
It is. It is easy
And-
if he's part of the previous regime. But the fact that they didn't even tell him this stuff or talk to him about it and just played fantasy baseball in the closet without talking.
In the closet.
Well, I mean, it's
Must
like
have been
they're
a
doing it
dark
in the
one.
bunker, the closet, whatever you want to call it. They're doing it behind closed doors,
Yes,
you know, and
in the
they're
smoky
doing it in the
room.
dark, in the smoke-filled room, and they're playing fantasy baseball. That's what they're doing these days.
Godfather comes to mind.
No
Kiss to me.
kidding. Exactly. I mean, and it probably is treated like that with the Red Sox. They're so damn old, you know. They're basically like the mafia of baseball.
Maybe they are Irish mob.
Maybe.
Boston, you know.
Who knows? I'm not going to send this podcast out now because I'll have, you know, wise guys knocking on my
Oh,
door
jeez.
asking, who the hell are you?
Anytime.
The Departed. I'll be one of them.
All right.
Speaking of Boston, no, this was I couldn't believe this when I heard this. Like, and the reasoning that you should want to go do it. Yeah, he does want to go do it, but he should never ever cave and do it for this team ever again with how they treat it. They told him, take your mitt and pack it in your bag and forget you have it. That's what they told him.
Yeah, they did.
And then they were like, oh, play first, please. No? Okay. Now you think that he's just jumping in out of his shoes to go play third base again?
No.
Kiss my ass.
It's awful. That's not how you treat players. You don't treat anybody like that.
All right. Well, let's listen to what the rest of Jones has to say about the matter.
All right.
That's my spot. I want that back. I never wanted to move in the first place. give me that spot.
He should, but he's not going to.
He didn't want to do first base, okay?
He had to learn a new position.
He shouldn't.
He didn't want to do first base, which I disagreed with, but okay, he doesn't want to embarrass himself is the excuse we got, and they told him he didn't want to glove.
But
But he embarrassed himself at third for years.
Okay, and I don't think he's a good third baseman, but he should still be volunteering to go out there and help the
I think Rafael Devers deserves to play in a market where he's appreciated by his fans and by his radio. Like,
Not even
he's not a
fans.
bad third baseman.
Well, he's not the best third baseman, okay? But the point is here, if you change the team, you are coached.
I don't care. I think before Boston signed Alex Bregman, nobody was questioning whether Rafael Devers was going to play third or not for this team. It was only after they signed him when it was like, oh, who plays third? No, who plays first? Nah, just a joke. But for real, like Bregman automatically got put into third base. We heard Ken Rosenthal be like, anointed him. Oh, Gold Glove. Got to play third.
Yep.
And the media created this narrative, and then Devers shows up and he's like, I play third. And then they're like, no, you don't. And he's like, fine. He pouted. He
didn't
he
have a
said
good
fine,
start.
and then he started hitting. And now all of a sudden everyone's come back crawling and crying, and they're like, oh, but you're not that bad. Don't you want to go and show us how wrong we all were? And no, he should never do that for Boston. He should definitely do that for 29 other teams, though. And he should definitely spend the rest of his life telling Boston how wrong they were for what they did to him.
Yeah.
Is there more to this clip?
No, there's some more. You
All right, let's hear what the rest of these buffoons have to say.
team at
He's
third base.
not gonna.
He should be shoving people out of the way.
No way.
He's
looking the other way.
sorry.
He should be flying.
Go ahead.
Why would he be shoving people away? Why? I don't understand. Like,
Because he's got to do it for the team, Nika. Ask not what your team can do for you. Ask what you can do for your team.
well,
It's a two-way street, though, you know.
they wanna
And I
have it
hate
both
how they
ways.
want it one way.
well, no, they want to have it both ways. You want to just put players wherever they wanted to put them, and then like go play there.
Yeah,
because
fantasy
it's
baseball.
so easy.
But then, as soon as you're not
Good
good enough,
for that position, they're gonna turn it around, and be like, "Wow, he's bad. We need to trade him or whatever." Just
instead of challenging him to get better and
Yeah.
being like, hey, why don't you show up an hour early and we'll take some extra ground balls tomorrow. I'll beat some balls into your chest. Whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I just feel like these athletes are the best athletes in the world, and they are just sitting there waiting to be challenged more often than not in the modern game than they are. They aren't challenged enough.
they're not being challenged, and with challenge comes coaching, and you learn different things from different coaches. You are never the same afterwards.
It is, and replacing Devers with Bregman was the easy answer for Boston. It was, and I'm not saying they shouldn't have signed him, although I do question
Was
the
it
signing
necessary?
because of the fact that they immediately were already targeting him at third base.
Mm-hmm.
If they signed him and said like, hey, you should play second, and we'll just let everything take care of itself.
Yeah.
You'll probably wind up back at third. And even when Casas went down, like I said, if Devers was never booted off third and never told, go put your mitt away, and said, and then you come to him and say like, hey, Casas went down. We have Bregman now. Do you want to go play first? It might have
be
been a much
different.
different conversation.
Yeah.
He might have been like, oh yeah, I want to help the team.
Totally different conversation.
But yeah, so I think, again, I'm going to stick to what I've always said with this situation is that go ahead and let it finish.
From Milwaukee to go meet with John Henry to be like, give me the job. I want the
Do you
third
think
base
Cora
job.
addressed the team? He's like, all right, guys, I got some bad news. Bregman is going to be out for a long time. And then Devers just like put a newspaper up over his face.
Is Homer Simpson away his way out of the room?
All of a sudden, the big shrubbery.
Everybody's like kind of looking at him.
Does
He just
anybody
backs out of the room.
know how to play third base? Anybody at all? Just a volunteer for third base.
Oh.
Where'd Rafael go?
Not me.
Rafael just left.
The guy's crying about playing third base in
No,
spring
he's
training.
DH now.
He left
He
in a
does
huff.
he does hitting.
He left in a huff from spring training. He's like, I'm out of here. I can't believe they won't let me play third base. Now
Yeah.
third base is wide open. He's like, I'm good.
Nah, I'm a good DH now.
What a team.
He's an all-star DH.
What a baseball team.
They stink.
Text line's
What
right.
entitlement.
Isn't this the team you guys had winning the
Right?
division?
Yes.
No, wrong. I had them in the World Series.
This is like
I had them winning it. Yeah,
Not far enough.
bad
not even
fan
close. No, I had it way
entitlement
better
sounds
than
like.
this.
Yeah.
So what the hell's wrong with this team?
This
you guys
is a mess.
This
I'll
is
tell
it.
you what's wrong with the team. It's the general manager.
It's the GM?
It's the GM. We saw him on the documentary on Netflix.
GM. Yes.
The new GM, the one that didn't sign Devers to this contract.
Oh, gosh, yes.
He comes across like one of the worst human beings in baseball. Like, hey, guys, I'm here to nerd up your team. We're going to go strictly by the numbers.
And he supposedly played.
I know, and that's what makes this even worse. If he was a player, he should know better than to treat other players this way. And the fact that he does, he just treats them like cattle fodder. Yeah. That's it. I mean,
not good.
They're not slaves. They're not getting paid nothing. I understand that. But again, the whole way they handled this is what I want to say when we started. It's baseball karma.
Yep.
It was handled poorly from the get-go. There was no reason to move Rafael Devers, even with the Alex Bregman signing. As we said, it doesn't mean he had to automatically play third. And like I said, imagine if, a couple scenarios here. If Devers was just still at third, Bregman gets hurt now, you bring up these young guys to come play second where they've been playing in the minor leagues. You don't have this big problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, that's what I feel like is going on in Boston, for lack of a better way of putting it.
Maybe by the All-Star break, they will figure it out what's happening.
I don't think they're going to trade Rafael Devers, at least not this year. I think unless they fall really far out of it, and they've already fallen 2 games below 500, as we said, and now they're going to be without Bregman for a significant amount of time. And they do have okay pitching, but
you need hitting.
You need to hit, and Devers can't do it alone.
Yeah.
And so I guess I just wonder what they do decide to do if they're out of it by a lot at the trade deadline. And that the Cubs, even the Yankees, and also more importantly and probably most prominent of all, the Mariners, would benefit from having a player like Rafael Devers come to their team.
Let's not forget the Dodgers.
Of course, they'll probably make a play for everybody that's available,
but
right?
They do need a third baseman.
Well,
Muncy is not cutting.
Yeah, I mean, but
in a way, when you look at things.
That's true. So, oh my gosh, don't put any ideas in their heads, because he bats left-handed too, doesn't he? Oh Jesus, it would be like replacing one with the other. But they would have to take his errors, I guess.
They would.
I don't think they would care. I think on a team of sluggers like that.
Yeah, they wouldn't.
Lord have mercy. That's all I got to say about that.
All right, moving
well, you
on.
know what? One position I know the Dodgers don't need at the trading deadline this year is the catcher position. Because they have Will Smith and also young Dalton Rushing, who is on the team right now. And I think they're pretty well set at that position right now, Nika. But our team, the San Diego Padres, do need a catcher. And I happened to catch this article from the East Village Times. This is written by James Clark, who is also the editor-in-chief over there. I learned that because I read all the way to the bottom of the article. But if the screenshot here doesn't give it away, he is proposing a trade to happen between the Padres and the Orioles that would benefit both teams, at least in his view. I'll have to wait and see how the Orioles fans feel about this. Well, it's a blockbuster.
Orioles fans most likely would appreciate any trade at this point.
Yeah, I don't know how they feel over there in Baltimore this year, but like you were riding high and riding the wave for the past, two and a half seasons, and then all of a sudden it just comes to a crashing, screeching halt. It is one of the most bizarre collapses I think we've seen in a while. But I would argue that the Orioles have made very poor choices with how they've cashed in a lot of their chips, and they have themselves to blame for the situation they find themselves in. There was better pitching available last year, and they had better prospects to offer, I think, for what they got in return. That's just my opinion. You can argue with me till I'm blue in the face, but when I look at the Padres landing Tanner Scott and Jason Adam last year on their team at the trading deadline, and the Orioles didn't grab those arms while they lost their closer Felix Bautista last year.
Yeah, what do you do with that?
What are you doing? And by the way, I think Brian Hoeing came over in one of those deals, and he could have been a spot starter for the Orioles when they needed starting pitching. So I really feel like they screwed the pooch on this one, and I feel like it's they might have to do something crazy like this to potentially right the ship or make up for it.
We will wait and see.
But they already fired their manager this year.
Mm-hmm.
They're already like 15 games below 500 or so. I haven't checked the standings this morning.
I don't think they have changed much.
But they were 15-30 the other day. So, yikes. Not what I expected at all with this awesome, like, young talented
team.
roster. But at the end of the day, if you don't have any starting pitching, like, you're not going to get moving.
Yeah.
And oh, by the way, number 35 on the screen right there is struggling mightily this year. Maybe he needs a change of scenery already.
All right.
Well, let's get into the article, shall we,
Sure.
Nika? This is the subheading here. It says, here is a blockbuster trade idea that would make a huge difference in the San Diego Padres' 2025 season and help the Baltimore Orioles restructure for next year and beyond.
Okay.
So here, let's get into it. The first sentence says the San Diego Padres started the 2025 season as one of the best teams in the league. Yes, that's true, Nika. I watched them do it. They were 15-4. Probably 15-5 at one point, 16-6. I remember some of these records. We currently stand 30-22 after last night's home victory against the Miami Marlins. I almost said Florida. In extra innings, in 11 innings. So, all right. Well, can you continue to the next paragraph? It says, over the last few weeks, the team has come down to earth, and several factors have contributed to their return to normalcy. The lineup lacks depth as the bottom third has turned into a group of easy outs. The Padres are getting very little production from the left field and catcher positions. Elias Diaz and Jason Hayward are not the answer moving forward. The team needs to make a move.
Agreed.
I would agree with a lot of this. You know, I don't know all the reasoning behind the Jason Hayward signing in the off season, but I think they were looking at, you know, veteran, cheap contracts, guys that they could come in and compete for jobs. And I don't think anyone really dazzled enough to move the needle, so they just went with the veterans. And I think this was always going to be planned in a way to be fixed as the season went on, unless like Hayward started playing out of his mind. He has not. Elias Diaz is a little bit different. They picked him up last year off of waivers when the Rockies kind of like shockingly released him. I thought it was a great pickup at the time for the Padres because Luis Campusano, as we've discussed, has played horrible defense. But the bat has not even come through that much. And
which bat? Campusano or
Elias Diaz
Oh, yeah.
is at the catcher position I'm talking about. And Campusano, while he does hit well in AAA, he has yet to show up in the major league level, but
Never
also
transfers.
he cannot catch. So he's not really a viable option to come in and help you out on defense at all.
Right, and this is a very hard piece to trade.
It is. Finding a good catcher is a really hard piece to find. So enter the Baltimore Orioles. The article continues, the Baltimore Orioles enjoyed a fruitful 2024 season, finishing 91-71. The Padres were 93-69 by comparison. 91-71 and 3 games behind the Yankees for the AL wildcard. The Orioles are 18-34 this season. So, yeah, we've fallen into like 16 games below 500 now, at least as of yesterday. And they are already 14 games behind the Yankees. Ouch. That is horrible, Nika.
And that's a very hard division.
Very hard. And they are in last place now in that division.
They're like the White Sox of that division.
The fans are up in arms. The Orioles already fired their manager, Brandon Hyde, as he was the scapegoat for the poor start. They are 3-7 in their last 10 games, and clearly the 2025 season is over for this group. Now, look, I'll never say never in baseball, but this is bad. This is a bad collapse. Like we said, this was a 91-71 team that is now. They were 20 games over 500 last year, and they've fallen. That's a 36-game swing in like months, and it's mostly the same group. So
they haven't They didn't do a good shakeup with the group.
Like
They
I
just
said, they haven't cashed in their chips properly.
Yeah, they had a plethora of young players. 2023, that's when they did really well. And after that, it was just down.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's continue. This is
Okay.
a long little article here, but it's a really great idea, I think. Examining the rosters of both teams presents an idea. I like ideas, Nika.
Of course.
Cedric Mullins is enjoying a productive season and is due for free agency at the end of the year. The Orioles will likely not re-sign the center fielder, and he makes a ton of sense for the Padres, who crave production from the left field position. There are already reports that the team is actively looking for help. Yes, Kevin Acee has reported that the Padres are shopping around for a left fielder. So I think the Jason Hayward experiment is virtually all but over. He's actually on the injured list again, and so he's not available even at all right now. The Padres have been trotting Brandon Lockridge out there, but I don't think he's the answer. He's a great speed guy off the bench to, pinch run when you need somebody maybe late in the games, or a defensive substitution potentially, but not the bat we're looking for in the left field spot. All right. Well, if you continue on, this was I had to screen grab this article strangely because there's so many damn ads on it. So this is just 2 sentences here. It says the Padres would surely have a ton of interest in him, but why stop there? Here is the idea. The trade. You got it up, Nika?
Yep, I got
All
the
right.
trade.
The San Diego Padres trade Ethan Salas, Randy Vasquez, Wandy Peralta, Brandon Lockridge, Isaiah Lowe, and Boston Bateman for Adley Rutschman, Cedric Mullins, and a lower level prospect.
So Cedric would be a loner
For a year. But Adley is different.
Right, because he's in his rookie contract or arbitration.
He's
First
in arbitration one. He will have 2 years left after this, and he's not having a great season so far, as we're going to find in a minute.
So that would benefit him greatly because of the scenery, change of scenery. We always say that you change the scenery and the players come alive or they just die. Depends where you go.
Sure.
But Padres have pretty decent coaching staff.
Yeah, and they want to win. So
that's true.
You go from a team that's 16 under to a team that's like right now 8 over. It's a 24-game swing in terms of like how well you're doing. You get rejuvenated a little bit just by being around a team that's above the 500 level. Obviously, the big heartbreaking piece of this proposed trade is the pictured player here, and that's Ethan Salas. And he's only 19 years old and has been touted as high as like a top 10 MLB prospect. He's fallen in recent lists, if you will. He's not necessarily performed as well as people would like to have seen last year in A-ball and then this year in Double-A. He's now actually on the injured list with a stress reaction in his back, which sounds awful if I'm a catcher. So
trade him.
Nevertheless, I do think that there is going to be an okay future there right now. Like, he's 19, and by all intents and purposes, this back thing isn't serious. He's going to return and play baseball again this year.
Sure.
All right, so if you want to flip to the next slide, it said, why would Baltimore do this? Okay. Adley Rutschman? Really? Yes, it may be possible. We know Rutschman is the franchise's darling, but his numbers have soured every season since he entered the league in 2022. His numbers this year are down even more as the backstop sits around the 200 average mark with his average and currently owns a 569 OPS. Ouch. 569. A 299 on-base percentage, under 300. This is Adley Rutschman we're talking about.
I know. I had him in my fantasy, and I had to drop him.
Drop it like it's not hot.
Right.
The team is concerned and may choose to max out on his trade value now. With 2.5 years of control, a team should expect to pay a hefty price tag. So you called it 2.5 years of control here, and I don't think Baltimore is just going to let him go away, but as you can see, there are reasons why they might want to. And this isn't even the jackpot yet. Let's flip to the next slide because the article continues, the Orioles' top prospect right now, the top prospect on their whole team is a catcher named Samuel Basallo. I'll say Basallo. He's from the Dominican Republic, and it says the 20-year-old is playing really well in AAA and is ready for action in the majors. He is a left-handed hitter with an amazing arm and a powerful swing. He also grades as a 55 with his hit tool. He is the number 16 prospect in all of baseball. Losing Rushman would hurt, but the team has a homegrown talent ready to step in immediately. Salas may take a few years, but he provides insurance to the team and a future at the position. I also screen grabbed Samuel Basallo's stats here from his minor league career and from AAA this year. And as you can see, his average is down almost 40 points from what he's been hitting in his career in the minor leagues. But he still has a decent power stroke, 9 home runs this year, 59 in his career. His on-base plus and his OPS, 909. He's got a 900 OPS in the minors. So, I mean, not a lot to complain about.
No, but I'm always hesitant how it is transfers to the majors. It's great numbers for the minors. Whether that translates to the majors, it's hit or miss.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm actually okay with Baltimore trading us either one at this point.
I would like Adley Rushman in the Padres uniform for sure.
I would love it, but this guy doesn't look half bad.
No.
I would take my chances with him
because
if it came
he's a
to
lefty.
it. I love that he's a lefty, and I just think he would have a youthful energy at the position that we don't have right now. We have 2 guys in their late 30s or mid to late 30s playing catcher for us, and they're at the end of their careers. I don't mean to date them, but they are.
That's how it is, unfortunately.
It is how it is. And this guy's the number 16 prospect, and they say he's ready now. And this is
So
where
he's
I'm
being
asking,
held?
like, why wouldn't Baltimore just start to shop one of them? Like, you can't have both. It's time to shit or get off the pot, as the old saying
Basically.
goes. Like, and your season didn't go as planned. I get it, but that just forces the issue, in my opinion. They have to choose one or the other.
Yeah.
If you have a guy who's ready, and the only thing that's blocking him is the current guy, who, by the way, is struggling and isn't vibing anymore with the team, it sounds like, and the coaches, and is probably sad. He probably had a great relationship with the coach. A catcher usually does. So one of the closest relationships on the team, and he doesn't have it anymore. So
It's time to ship him up.
it might, and all right, well, before we get into all of our thoughts and repeat ourselves, let's finish the article.
Sure.
The Orioles will likely trade Mullins at some point. They will cash in and obtain prospects for the future. Yeah, I think he's definitely going to move. If he's on the last year of his deal anyway and they're not going to re-sign him at all, then they might as well try to make up for some of what they've lost with some of these bad deals that they made, and get some poker chips back.
Yes, 100%.
All right, so as we flip to the next paragraphs, this is where it gets interesting from the Padres' perspective. It says the Padres' return provides immediate help in the rotation with Vasquez and also gives the Orioles an option in center field after losing Mullins. Peralta provides relief help to the Orioles and a left-handed arm out of the bullpen. Bateman and Lowe are top pitching prospects in the Padres' system. And then there's Ethan Salas. Rushman is a 2-time All-Star and is in the prime of his career. He's 27 years old. The Orioles would require a safety net if Basallo were unable to perform for the team behind the dish and needed to be moved to first base. Salas is listed as the number 29 overall prospect in baseball, and his glove is a sure thing. Losing Rushman would be difficult, but the team could gain help in several areas with this proposed deal. All right, well, if you flip to the next slide, it says, why would San Diego do this? Trading Salas is not ideal, but the window of competition is open now. And yeah, Jason Clark, I agree with you 100%. This is a tricky time in Padres history, right? We have this kind of financial handicap, if you will, that we're not spending a lot of money right now. And that's been made apparent. So AJ Preller's had to get more creative. And this is some of the kind of creativity that goes a long way because you're getting 2.5 years of control. And AJ's been smart about this. He did it with Michael King. He did it with Luis Arise. He did it with Jason Adam last year.
Dylan
and
Cease.
Brian Hoeing, Dylan Cease. So he's attuned to this kind of a deal. All right, Adley Rutschman gives the Padres a catcher through the 2027 season. Yes, he is not hitting, but we wouldn't even be having this discussion if he were. And I that's probably true. We would probably be talking about Basayo instead. Do the Orioles want to move this kid because they have their catcher of the future?
Yeah.
Getting away from the pressure of the Orioles' expectations may be just what he needs to reach his upside. His contract is not excessive, and that fits with the restraints of the current roster structure when it comes to money. Mullins would be a pure rental for the Padres for the rest of the season, but they need production from the left field position. So, I, again, agree with him on all accounts here, and I think we talked about the change of scenery. We talked about Cedric Mullins and how, this is kind of like the two pieces we need right now to fill out our roster, and we'll keep going with the article. The Padres would instantly possess the best lineup in all of baseball. With 5 left-handed hitters in that lineup, the team would need right-handed counterparts for some of them. In the past, Cronenworth and Sheets have struggled without southpaws, but Merrill, Arise, and Mullins will do well against them. Mullins owns a .922 OPS this season against lefties, so he's not bothered hitting against lefties, as opposed to a .759 OPS against righties. Thankfully, the majority of the pitchers in the league are right-handed, so this isn't a major concern. Vasquez would be a tough loss, but the Padres are preparing for Yu Darvish's return, and Kyle Hart is in the minors and capable of filling out the rotation for now. Matt Waldron is also close to returning and could be a factor for the club down the stretch. All right, well, a couple things. Yu Darvish, I don't know what's wrong with his elbow right now at this point, and I don't know if it's the best idea to just count on him like money in the bank. No pun intended to our WWE audience. Kyle Hart, up and down so far.
It's a 50-50 with this guy.
You don't know for sure what you're gonna get, and Matt Waldron, I think
that's another
he's a nice piece as a 4th or 5th guy, maybe, but he's not a playoff roster pitcher.
No,
at least in my experience with him so far. Can he come up and help us right now during this time while we have Michael King with his shoulder issue? Maybe, potentially. I'm not saying he can't. I just don't think he's an October Padres roster member.
Yeah.
The Padres could also add an arm in a separate deal if they feel it necessary. Peralta would be a salary dump for the Padres and help balance the budget. The Orioles need relief help, and the veteran could assist in that regard. Trading him would help offset the payroll and paying Rutschman for the next 2 years plus.
I don't like that. I like Peralta on the team.
Wandy?
Yeah. Oh, wait, Wandy Peralta.
You thinking about David from last year.
Yeah.
And he is unfortunately not on the Padres this year. A lot of people wondering where he is and why at least one of the 30 teams didn't take a flyer on him. That's an interesting one. But not the topic at hand for today. Nika, can you flip to the next slide? This is AJ Preller here's picture, and it says the chances of this happening. Nothing is ever out of the realm of imagination when it comes to AJ Preller and his baseball team. And yes, I got to admit right now, if there's anybody in baseball that's capable of pulling off this blockbuster trade, it's him. And we've seen him do this in May last year with Arise. There's no need to wait to the deadline necessarily. If you're sure that you want to do this, and as we go through the article, it sounds better and better to me. All right, it says, with that being said, there is a chance. Pulling off a deal with Rutschman in it may be a minor miracle, but a Mullins deal certainly seems feasible. The Padres need help, and the Orioles will surely look for some prospects to round out their roster in the coming years. The Padres have a few that may be enticing to Baltimore. See, again, and I think you almost need to put a gun to the Orioles' head and say, choose a catcher, and we'll take the one you don't want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because at this point, it's it sounds like either one would be helpful to our team. and help us reach our goals.
Well, either one of them will be younger than what we got.
Well, younger than what we got. Obviously Rutschman has better experience in the major league level.
Sure,
And
but he's
can
struggling.
probably manage the staff a little bit better. And you don't know what a change of paint will do for him.
I know, but how hard it was when you trade a catcher in the middle of a season to learn everybody's pitching style and whatnot. You got to be a catcher for the pitchers.
Yes, indeed. Well,
it's a learning curve, maybe, at some point.
all right. Well, it says the Padres need to address the holes in left field and behind the plate. Since no clear replacements are in-house, a trade will be the only way to upgrade the roster. Yeah, I think this is where we're at. Tirso Ornelas is not going to get another audition. His 11 at-bats or whatever he got are going to be it.
That was it.
Yeah, you can argue whether that's fair or not, but that's it. It's what it is. And I think they've made decisions on some of the other players. Campusano's next. He's 0 for 6 with a couple walks, but he's been struck out looking at more than once, more than twice. You got to swing the bat, son, at this level. That's all there is to it. All right. Well, the Orioles and the Padres make sense. If Baltimore throws in the white towel on the 2025 season, the Padres will surely be front and center. I mean, obviously, they better be if they got to do their due diligence. You have to explore all options at this point. Preller and his staff are always on the lookout for an advantage. Landing a superior catcher like Rutschman could catapult the Padres into a World Series title. The catching position is weak right now, and Rutschman is capable of being one of the best in the game. The price would be steep, but the Padres are in a position where they need to step up to the plate. Trading multiple prospects and a few young major leaguers for immediate help seems imminent. And that's the end of the article, Nika. If you flip again to the next screen, I took it back to the title screen for us so we could talk about this for a second. But do you think what do you think the odds are of this trade happening after reading through the article?
The odds? 50-50.
50-50. Yeah, I mean, that's not bad, is it?
No, I do like the trade. I do like the creativity of it, because I don't know if Padres trade with Orioles a lot. I don't remember. I don't know
either. I don't remember that.
But either way, I think those are very valid points. They need immediate help. They need catching help, and the left field. So it checks all three boxes.
Yeah, it's a really creative article. I want to say kudos again to James Clark for proposing this idea, because this did not occur to me. I had my eyes on Cedric Mullins. I don't know if I had such a keen eye on the Orioles farm system to know that they have Basayo ready to come up and possibly catch. And I guess that's the only thing I think the article failed to maybe explore is hey, if not Rutschman, why not this kid potentially?
That's a good point. Well,
but I think you have to be sure that he's major league ready.
Yeah, maybe that's the hesitancy, because you don't know how he's going to pan out in the majors. We know it happens all the time.
Yeah.
Campusano, prime example.
100%. I mean, and then you can get a couple of younger players from the Cubs that are very similar in this regard with Owen Casey and Ballesteros. Moises Ballesteros? I can't remember his first name now. But the young catcher that is on the Cubs, he's already been called up. So you have options, it sounds like, for the Padres to explore when it comes to filling these positions. But I do love this lineup, going into the dog days of summer and into October, and yeah, it would really feel like you have a chance to win.
I wouldn't be surprised if they get Cedric. That wouldn't surprise me at all. But what do you give up for him? Whether he comes with Adley Rutschman, that's a different question.
Yeah, we talked about Ethan Salas in the middle of the article a little bit, and I stand by that. It would be a tough loss, we've heard AJ Preller mention him, as one of the cornerstone pieces of the future, but at the same time, I think it changes every day.
It does.
As sad as we want to not admit that that's true, it does.
That
and
statement was made last season.
it was.
That was
They were also talking about signing Roki Sasaki, and look how that worked out.
Exactly. And then things do change all the time, so you got to adjust.
Things change all the time. Michael King sleeps on his neck wrong, and he's not pitching the next day.
You should call the pillow guy.
He should. All right. Well, I want to turn our attentions, Nika, to some football. Can you get that loaded up for me, please?
Yeah, sure. What are we doing?
Right. Well, we got to talk about Caleb Williams some more. He's been getting yelled at practice, apparently, by his new head coach, Ben Johnson. This was an article that I found on Yardbreaker. Bears head coach Ben Johnson apparently lit up Caleb Williams at practice. I love the word apparently there.
So, wait, let me guess. Is that he did or he didn't?
All it tells me is that the person that's writing this did not have a firsthand account of it.
Oh, you mean no sources?
He must have gotten
Secondhand
some
sources.
secondhand smoke, as they call it.
God.
All right. Well, this was originally posted on Shy City Sports by Jordan Sigler, and it was last updated this morning at 8 a.m. And the caption underneath the picture says, Bears head coach Ben Johnson speaks during the rookie mini camp at Hallis Hall. And I want to preface that I think this all happened like a few days ago, like May 21st, May 20th, somewhere around then. It happened when this mini camp was going on for the rookies. Caleb Williams was there throwing passes and working on the offense, offseason OTAs. Let's get into the article, shall we, Nika? The first paragraph starts, the intensity of new head coach Ben Johnson was one of the main takeaways from the Chicago Bears practice session on Wednesday. The workout was the first that was open to the media for voluntary minicamp at OTAs this spring. One of the bigger talking points was Johnson yelling at Cole Kmet when the veteran tight end lined up incorrectly. And I did hear about this on social media. Like, he lit into him, and, a lot of the Chicago media personalities were talking about how much they liked it. And, we haven't had a coach like this since Ditka. Rah, rah, rah. I like Ben Johnson's energy, okay? I don't think he's, like, over the top like Ditka is. So I think we should
just give
keep
him
our
some time.
Reservations. Yeah, maybe. Maybe he'll have gray hair by the end of the season.
You never know.
At the age of 38.
You never know.
Yeah, he's got an uphill battle ahead of him as head coach of the Chicago Bears, who haven't made the playoffs in, 14, 15 seasons now? It's been so many I lost count. All right. However, Johnson got on the case of second-year quarterback Caleb Williams. Ooh, a little in-your-face action for QB number 1 over here.
Bring him down to the earth.
All right. This says Ben Johnson's got on Caleb Williams. Per Adam Hogue of CHGO, Johnson got on Williams after the number 1 pick in the 2024 draft made his best pass of the day. How do you make your best pass of the day and get yelled at, Nika?
Define best.
Yeah, I guess it's best in the eyes of whoever saw it, because Ben Johnson didn't see it that way, apparently.
No.
All right, well, this is what Adam had to say. I heard this, by the way. It is on podcast form, but I'm going to read it for you here. It's interesting, that one. What appeared to be his best throw of the entire day when he hit DJ Moore deep down that left sideline, it was probably more like a deep out. Caleb came back towards where the coaches were. Ben Johnson was like, you can't do that. So I don't know what wasn't right there. But again, it gets back to the accountability thing. I like that. Even what appeared to be a great moment, Ben Johnson was still getting after him. So I think the thing of all, this stuff that matters as we're talking about this on May 21st, I just think it's that standard setting, that account level accountability. That's a word salad of a quote right there.
Could you just say he's keeping him accountable?
Yeah, and look, I understand the sentiment.
Sure.
I appreciate, and I also enjoy the fact that Ben Johnson is setting the tone from day one, and
he's the top dog. I'm the coach. The buck stops with me, so everything funnels through me.
Yeah, and we talked about how Ben Johnson is going to come in here and he's building a culture. the Bears have not had a culture and identity for a really long time. And it's not just an offensive culture and identity. It's a whole team culture and identity.
Yeah.
And he's
Sometimes
building
you have
that.
to yell at people.
Sometimes you do. And also, it's a field, and you're yelling at people across, so it might look worse than it is sometimes,
Sorry, I thought he was like in the room yelling at them.
I know. They're on the field practicing. Of
Oh,
course they're going to
jeez.
be yelling at each other.
A lot of nothing over here then.
All right. Well, actually, this wasn't the juiciest part of this article. We're about to get into that. If you flip to the next slide, it says the Chicago Bears have a long way to go before Williams is polished. No shit,
No
Sherlock.
kidding. Okay.
Overall, Mark Carman didn't think Williams had a good day on Wednesday. He thinks Williams has a, quote, long way to go before he can be successful in 2025. And here's his quote, Nika. Caleb Williams, I was hoping that Ben Johnson impact would be immediate. The impact is not immediate, Carman said of Williams' development under Johnson since OTAs started in April. He's throwing off his back foot. He's running out of bounds. He's doing weird sidearm throws to no one. He's overshooting receivers. He's doing it while they're doing live drills. This is unbelievable analysis over here. I don't know how you would expect something to change like immediately.
This is like social media. You like and you get a thumbs up right away.
On the one hand, we are saying that we like that Ben Johnson is challenging his players and raising the expectation level around Chicago Bears football. And on the other hand, we're saying, why isn't it happening quick enough?
Because we live in a society that needs instant gratification. We've been trained for the last 10 years or so.
Yeah, we're all guilty of it in our
Yes,
own
of
lives and in our own ways. But like, I
That's
think
not how sports work.
it's not. It's not how sports works. Like, we had to sit through 7 years of Jordan before we touched championship gold, and we knew he was the best player in the league, but we knew he didn't have the best team yet. And we were trying to build that team around him, and we did it, and it worked. And we won 6 titles in 8 years. And like, it can happen. You can build a team, and you have this opportunity right now to do this here you have a first-year coach, a second-year quarterback, and they have a lot of work to do because of that offset. Because they weren't here together in year one doing it.
Whether they were together or not, you still have to work together towards something. Whether that doesn't matter what happened before. You need to be coached.
Yeah.
Things happen with time, not instantaneous.
Well, the mechanical things he's talking about here, throwing off the back foot, doing sidearm throws and things like that. I can understand that, especially,
We saw it last year.
we watch a lot of baseball. We see mechanical breakdowns, fail hitters all the time.
Yes.
And so you don't want that in your professional sports life, whether you're playing baseball, football, basketball, hockey, anything. Like, you want fundamentally sound technique in your orbit.
And you don't want people to get injured because of their fundamentals, because their fundamentals are wrong.
Yeah, you want your skills working for you, not
Yes.
against you. And
Exactly.
they can do both. There are guys that are talented enough to sometimes let those talents get the best of them, and they think they can do anything. And
At that age, oh my goodness.
Oh,
yes.
yeah, especially
You
at this age.
feel like you are indestructible.
especially with a kid that has been wanting to be drafted number 1 since he was 10.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's finish this quote here. He's doing it while they're just doing just throwing drills. It was not a good day for 18. So look, he's going to be the Bears quarterback. There's no doubt about that. Oh, really? But there's also no doubt that I'm sure that Ben Johnson is seeing that there was a long way to go for him to be successful. And I don't know. I just thought the Ben Johnson impact would be immediate. It is not immediate. So he ends the sentence the same way he started it. He was expecting it to be immediate, and it's not immediate. And then he goes on and repeats himself. And it's like, dude, you need to just take a chill pill and stop paying attention to this for a few weeks, a few months. Don't watch until training camp starts in July, honestly. Don't. Go watch Cubs baseball. They're hitting the shit out of the ball. Go watch that. Stop paying attention to the Bears football. I'm telling you this right now for your mental health. You're way too close to it, and you're not even a part of the team.
You're not seeing the bigger picture. You just want an instant gratification for you.
For practice.
Oh, for practice, yeah. Well,
From practice when the team isn't even required to be there.
maybe.
You know, it's funny how he says it's not a good day for number 18, but in the paragraph above, he's like, this started in April. And it's like, what has it been going on for 6 weeks, or was it just a bad day on one day? You know, like it's a little bit of it comes across the wrong way to me. And I didn't really appreciate a lot of the way the Chicago media is handling this whole Caleb Williams situation. You know,
They feel
like,
entitled to it.
first you have the offseason story with the draft last year and the Seth Wickersham book that's coming out, and you have all the media people demanding, like, we need to hear from Caleb Williams now.
They wanted to answer a question that was 18 months old.
They want him to answer for something he did 18 months ago,
Well, yeah.
and his dad did 18 months ago, and it's like I just don't understand the entitlement mentality with that. Aside from all that, it's the on-field stuff is going to be just as bad, you know. And if Caleb struggles in week 1 under Ben, like, they're going to be calling for his head and being like, well, maybe Tyson Bagent should play, you know. And I like Tyson Bagent and I like his dad, but I don't want Caleb Williams to be replaced at quarterback, you know, unless he gets hurt for, God forbid, some reason. But look, I think
You're not wrong, though, but that's how it's going to work.
yeah.
The mainstream media in Chicago.
And those are not easy games to play
Of
the
course
first couple
not.
weeks. You know, we got Vikings at home and then Lions
Yeah.
on the road. And
The
it
team
could be
is-
ugly at
The
first,
team
guys.
is going to be under microscope from the
It
moment
is.
they enter the field. Everything, whether Caleb's farts or Ben Johnson burps, everything will be covered.
Those are some hella belches over there, Ben. You got some.
Whatever.
You got the biggest belches in the Chicago city.
They're going to call yelling, screaming.
Yeah, they're gonna come after him for being too hard on the players, right?
Oh, yeah, you're hurting
After
their
they
feelings.
clamor for, we finally got someone yelling at the players again, then it's going to be too much. And, maybe we should back off. And look, we got to take a step back here, guys. Like, I just don't feel like the 80s or 90s was even covered this closely, you know, and, like, analyzed this much. And I know we didn't have Joe Montana or Steve Young or Troy Aikman or any quarterbacks like that back in the day, but still, like, the hounding, the shooting your phone at practice, like
We didn't have phones in the 80s.
they're micro-analyzing. You know, we've heard of micromanaging in the business world. This is micro-analyzing. You're, like, looking to analyze things that aren't even really there, especially when you're talking about a guy yelling on a field. Every coach yells on a field. It's like part of your job description. Like, can you yell outside? Great, you're hired.
Wow, you are in the wrong field then.
I know. Well, I'm in the right field now. I'm talking on this microphone, everybody.
There you are.
All right. Well, can you flip to the last slide paragraph
Sure.
here? It says Williams was unhappy with the coaching staff last year because they didn't coach him up. The good news from Carmen and Hoge is that Johnson is willing to tell Williams what he's doing at OTAs is wrong. Hopefully, Williams will start doing the right things when practices are open to the media later this month and during training camp.
Oh, gosh.
What does that mean? Hopefully, he'll start doing the right thing. Like,
He's being coached.
you want
It
him to
takes
have, like, flawless practices? Really? How does that work out for guys that practice, like, perfection and then go into the real game?
It doesn't work out
No, it doesn't.
because everything goes out the door as soon as you step on the field.
Yeah,
You rely on your muscle memory, your mechanics.
of course. And, you know, so I can understand the sentiment that they want to see better mechanics out of Caleb Williams.
Sure.
But, like, can we start nitpicking this in September when the games actually start and not in May when there's, like, I don't know, 1, 2, 3 months of practice before we see a live snap in a real game? There's over 3 months. I don't know. This poor kid. I don't know what to say. I feel for Caleb Williams over the past couple weeks because first with the ESPN story with Wickersham's book, and now, you know, every move that he makes is going to be overanalyzed under the new head coach.
But he knew this when he signed up with the main, with a big market team.
did. But he
Maybe
also
not to
chose
that
the
extent.
Bears against his father's wishes, for these reasons, in a way.
Sure, but he knew he will be scrutinized on every single level.
Yeah.
But that doesn't make it right, and it doesn't make it easy on him for his even mental state.
It doesn't. They're not wrong about his mechanics and
No, that's
needing to fix those.
right.
They're not wrong about that. I think saying that you expected him to be fixed immediately because Ben
That's
Johnson
wrong.
became the coach is wrong and
Yeah.
dumb, and you should blame yourself for feeling that way. And you didn't need to waste thoughts talking about it on some podcast. I digress. I think we need to give Caleb Williams here some space. We need, like I said, a lot's happened in the last 2 weeks, and he's also got a lot on his plate right now. He needs to learn this offense. He's a year behind. He didn't have the Ben Johnson playbook last year. He has it now. We need them to be lockstep at the hip.
Clicking together.
Yeah, building a relationship.
Yeah.
We want them to become Belichick and Brady. We want them to become the next great pairing, when it comes to Andy Reid and Mahomes.
Yeah.
We want them to have this kind of a relationship.
That doesn't happen overnight.
It doesn't happen overnight. Give it some time. Give it a rest. Go take a break from Bears.
All right.
And we're going to take a break from Bears, and we are going to end today's episode with some WWE talk. Yes, Nika, can you flip it to this picture? Because, boy, oh boy, I got to say, after last night's Raw, and I want to remind viewers that we have really just taken up WWE again, for me, at this year's Royal Rumble, and Nika is taking it in for the first time ever.
That's true.
So bear with us as we explain that Seth Freakin Rollins is amazing entertainer.
That is for sure.
He is winning me over more and more week after week with his skills on the microphone and his skills in the ring. But I want to start with his skills in the microphone right now because the intro to Raw last night after the big Saturday night main event where he escaped with victory. They won over CM Punk and who did he fight with? Damn it. The tag match. Sammy. Sammy and
Sammy.
CM Punk fought against Braun Breaker and Seth Freakin Rollins. So that was the main event opening match on Saturday night. And right away, it was one of the better matches on the ticket. And right away, we got this opening scene last night on Raw where Seth Rollins came out, and his theme music really gets the crowd thumping, right? The oh, and it was taking it in.
Yeah. Oh, he was absorbing it all.
And you can see that, even it's being a villain in wrestling is so fun because you get booed a lot, but you also get cheered because people can't help but like you. And Seth Rollins plays that card really perfectly. I feel like no one's done it that well since Triple H.
He's doing well.
He's doing it really well. And, his little entourage and his stooge is helping him sell the whole illusion here. But I just wanted to take a minute and say that I've really grown to appreciate and respect Seth Rollins. He's probably my favorite entertainer on the show now. He's a Bears fan.
It's true.
He loves Ben Johnson, by the way. We might play that clip sometime in the future for you guys. So he has a lot of feathers in his cap for me. And as I said, as I just watch him perform week after week now, I think it's becoming apparent to me that he's the best that WWE has to offer right now. And so I enjoyed the opening last night a lot, even though there was no wrestling and no one came out and interrupted. I found it to be entertaining and hilarious. So if you flip to the next screen, though, Nika, the whole point of him and the entourage and the whole posse coming out, you can see Bronson Reed, the new addition to the posse, is there, along with the stooge Heyman and the other muscle, Braun Breaker.
The Terminator.
But Seth Rollins came out here to announce this big vision for the future of himself and the whole WWE company.
Well, he considers himself as a visionary.
Yes, he does. He thinks quite highly of himself. That always goes over really well when you're a villain in WWE. You have to, be a little bit of a self-centered, egotistical maniac.
Of course.
And Seth Rollins is like way up there when it comes to that. But he's looking up at those briefcases, Nika. He's got his eye on that, and that's because the next event for WWE is the Money in the Bank. There's a women's briefcase up there. There's a men's briefcase up there, and each one of them has a contract in it for a title match of their choosing if they were to win that match.
So you have to grab just one of the briefcase,
Correct.
not both.
Yeah, exactly. One of them is the women's, one of them's the men's.
I see. Okay.
So when those matches go down at Money in the Bank, there's going to be you're going to have to climb a ladder to steal that briefcase.
Nice.
Yes, indeed. So fun stuff coming, and Seth Rollins at this point hasn't even qualified for the Money in the Bank matchup, though he does have a qualification match on the ticket that was announced before Raw started this night, and he's going to be in this match with Sami Zayn and with Finn Balor. I'm writing down names so I remember them for you guys, because, again, we just started watching again in January. Bear with us. All right, so he's going for the qualifier match later on in the show, but he comes out and says basically like he's winning this briefcase, and he has a vision for the future, and there's big plans are in motion with the Stooge, Heyman, and the posse and everything that's going on. And by the way, Paul Heyman announced during this segment, because he got the microphone first for a minute, that Bronson Reed is going to headline like 7 WrestleManias in a row in like 8 years. So keep your eyes out on that prediction, folks.
Well, you know, he is a Terminator, so he's going to keep coming.
He did use the Terminator analogy hilariously.
We should play some music for the
And I think I said Bronson Reed. I meant Braun Breaker. My bad. I didn't mean to confuse my Stooges and my muscle.
That's all right.
But no, I really just wanted to say I enjoyed the opening segment a lot. The hilariousness of it, the villainry, it's all fun, and Seth Rollins embodies that perfectly.
Seeing the crowd, how they get into it, it's fascinating.
Right, they can't help but cheer sometimes,
exactly.
And then they boo right in 5
and
seconds later.
And they have those chants that already pre-made. Everybody has a sign. The kids get into it. It's fantastic.
Definitely. All right. Well, another Seth Rollins connection here also had an announcement last night, and that's because his wife, Becky Lynch, has some unfinished business apparently with Lyra Valkyria, and they're fighting again for the belt. They just fought at Backlash, right?
Yeah, they did, and now they're gonna go back and do it again. So.
Yeah, I don't know, like, if they're just kind of stuck in limbo with these two characters and not sure what to do with them, and not sure how to end their feud, or if there's actually like a change in plans maybe, or they want to give Becky the title. I have a hard time seeing a rematch go down this quickly and having the same result come out of it. So,
but Lyra just got the belt.
I know, but my gut tells me that Becky's gonna win it from her.
So it's just gonna be back and forth with that belt.
I don't know. I feel like why do it again then?
You're right. Why do it again? The logic makes it for Becky to win.
Yeah, that's what my gut tells me, but you know, I've been wrong before.
The only thing that came out of this chatter between those two is that Becky is married to Seth Rollins.
Yeah, she did kind of acknowledge it on the mic, and you know, I had never heard this before. Now, she has helped him in the past, and she used to be a part of his ringside presence.
Okay.
You know, I don't think Seth Rollins has had a posse all that long.
Okay.
But he's had a long career, and I'm learning about it slowly but surely. Not an expert by any means. However, since we've started watching in January, I don't think we've seen her acknowledge in her in-person or her in-character persona that she's married to Seth Rollins. So I didn't know that was like, quote, public for their characters. I also wonder why she doesn't hang with him more during like when he comes out and does these announcements.
Yeah, it's an odd one, but maybe it's the writing. Maybe they got to step up the writing.
Who knows? I would like to see them though be like the king and queen of wrestling, I guess.
Yeah, for at least a little bit.
Especially the bad guy girl combo, you know, they rock it really well.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we also had another woman returned to WWE last night, Nika. The always, what's the right word to say? Exuberant?
The fun villain.
She another badass bitch, huh?
Yep,
It
she is
Liv
a heel.
Morgan. She's definitely got some bad girl persona going on with her WWE character, and you can see this big long picture she posted on her social media here. That is a tall picture. That is her holding one half of the tag team championship belts that she owns with her partner Raquel Rodriguez. Do we call her R-Rod? I mean,
Ooh,
I have not
maybe.
heard the R-Rod nickname before, but if she doesn't have it, I'm giving it to you. I watch too much baseball. I'm sorry.
Nice.
Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez are the tag team champions. That was not what was on the line here. This was a match versus Kairi Sane that she was embarking on. And, you know, I'm a little bit unclear if this was a Money in the Bank qualifying
I
match
thought it
because she
was.
said something about that. And then, like, she never went and talked to the commissioner on camera about getting that match. So I don't know. They ran into her in the hallway.
Yeah.
And then they decided to have a match, and so like I'm kind of unclear on how everything was set.
Oh, I thought that was a qualifying match for the Money in the Bank.
Me too. So I feel like Liv Morgan's going to be in that match though, and the fact is, if you flip to the next slide, she was not victorious in her welcoming back match here, and you know, as the old saying goes, why don't you cry about it, Liv? Because she looks like she's about to break down in tears upon losing this match. But the interesting part about this is Roxanne Perez has been hanging out with the Judgment Day posse while Liv Morgan was gone. She was in Japan filming a movie.
Yeah, she was in Japan filming her scenes for a movie that she's going to be in. I forget
Cool.
the title of the movie, but yeah,
Well,
she's back.
She's back, and she's not happy to see Roxanne Perez is hanging out with the posse, and she wasn't there before.
Yeah, because her and Dominic Mysterio are this power, couple.
You
if
mean
will.
Liv and Dominic are
Liv
the
and
power
Dominic,
couple,
yes,
and
yes.
so Roxanne was kind of being flirty, like
Yeah.
bringing Dominic chicken nuggets and offering him shoulder massages.
Yes.
This is
Stirring some
all
pots.
part of a sinister plan concocted by Finn Balor, who is also a member of the Judgment Day posse, but he is not really a fan of Liv and Dominic being in charge, and is kind of looking to maybe seize power of the group himself. And he has brought Roxanne Perez into the group to sort of be a bit of a disruptance, I think, to the chemistry.
I see.
And that's played out during this match because Roxanne Perez came down towards the end of it. Raquel Rodriguez was already down there as Liv's like sidekick.
Yeah.
And so she's joined now by Roxanne Perez. So the two of them are out there. Roxanne interferes with Kairi on the ropes near the end of the match. And Liv gets distracted by what's going on and everything. And then the next thing you know, she gets rolled up and pinned by Kairi.
And it's over.
She blames Raquel at the end of it for not having her guard up and paying more close attention and allowing Roxanne to distract her.
Yeah.
Instead of blaming it on Roxanne, who I think is the one who secretly did disrupt things on purpose to go against Liv because she's trying to seize power in the group with Finn.
Well, there's a dissensions in the ranks.
Did you follow all that, everybody? Jeez. So much drama on WWE Raw last night. It was I couldn't help but get into it today.
It was fun.
Speaking of drama, look who came out. Jey Uso and Gunther.
Oh, Gunther.
Jey Uso came out first, and I think he was just doing a pep talk with the crowd, but he was soon interrupted by Gunther.
Course.
And it was good because unlike the opening scene with Seth Freakin Rollins, we actually got an interruption here. So Jey Uso gets interrupted and Gunther comes out. And I got to give Jey Uso a lot of credit here. And obviously I know it's scripted a little bit, but he came across as very patient. And when Gunther interrupted him, he just kind of let him mouth off his business and get it all out of his system. And then he responded with the crowd and with the magic. And he has the whole what? Everyone says what after everything he says. And yeah, I mean, they are going to rematch in Phoenix here at Money in the Bank. And that should be a fun matchup. But I do think that Jey Uso will retain the title. He's just too big and too popular right now. And he just won the belt at WrestleMania. I think he's going to hold it possibly for the whole year. I mean, he's just too big of a star right now.
It's too early for him to lose it, and Gunther is really good as a villain.
I also have to say, though, the World Heavyweight title looks great on Jey Uso with the shades and the whole, like, energy and vibe he's got going. Like, it really completes the outfit.
And his entrance.
Sorry, Gunther. I mean, don't get me wrong. The belt looks pretty good on you, too, because you're a big guy and it's a big belt. But, you know, Jey Uso's just got that it factor, and the kids love him.
Kids love him.
You know, and they don't love you.
Oh. Well, he's got to work on the kids.
Maybe you can dress up as Santa Claus or Father Christmas next year.
There you go.
All right, well, moving right along, Penta, everybody. Now, Penta had a qualifying match last night with Dragon Lee and Chad Gable, and he, of course, came out on top because why wouldn't Penta be in the Money in the Bank match over those two guys? But nevertheless, the high flyer was action-packed as usual and having lots of fun. You know what? I think somebody in MLB might have noticed this matchup before they took the field last night, Nico. I'm, of course, talking about our guy from the Los Angeles Angels, Zach Neto. And, you know, I don't know if he's our guy or not, but he's our guy now because he apparently watches WWE. And check out this video of him. This was posted by the Super Halo Brothers on their Twitter account. And they happen to notice Zach Neto giving a little bit of a three-fingered salute here after hitting that home run. And they recognize correctly that it is the Penta hand gesture here. And I wanted to freeze frame this. Is it frozen for everyone now? Great. This says Penta El Zero Miedo. Cero Miedo sign is a hand gesture where he places his hands in front of him with three fingers pointing upwards and touching at the tips. Now, it looks like they're pointing downwards to me, so I think AI got this one wrong. Work on your definitions, AI. Come on. This gesture symbolizes zero fear and is a prominent part of his persona as a wrestler, according to ITR Wrestling. The catchphrase "Cero Miedo" translates to zero fear in Spanish.
Cero means zero. That's nice.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I'm learning Spanish. Ooh.
One word at a time. That's going to take a while.
Boy, yeah.
Yeah, zero fear here for Penta. And yeah, this character's growing on me too. You know, especially when a baseball player is attuned to his hand gestures. That's fun.
Oh, yeah. This is a crossover. We noticed this a lot lately.
Yeah. A lot of people like to show their WWE fandom, and they're not ashamed of it, and we're not ashamed of it either.
We have a mascot coming up.
We do. Spoiler alert. All right, well, we got to get back to the man of the hour, Seth Freakin Rollins. He had a three-way match here at the end, and it was between Finn Balor and Sami Zayn. The three of them had a qualifying match for Money in the Bank. It was the main event of Raw last night, and as you can see here at the end, WWE posted this video, and I screen grabbed a few shots from it because it's total chaos out here. A lot happened in this video that was posted. But Sami Zayn had Seth Rollins dead to rights. He was going to pin him for the win, and of course, the muscle interfered. It's a three-way match. There's no rules. There's no disqualifications. So
zero rules.
Nothing was making this illegal for the referee that you see there counting.
Wait, well, what's the ref for?
I don't know.
Okay.
He's going to get replaced by AI next, right? There's nothing else for him to do. No, seriously, you can see Bronson over there, Bronson Reed, laying in to Sami Zayn on the ground while Braun Breaker looks on. Seth Freakin Rollins is knocked out in the ring along with Finn Balor. So that's where that leaves us. And then you can see as they start to come to, Dominic Mysterio sneaks down to ringside with his Intercontinental title wrapped around his waist, and he grabs a chair and he slides it in the ring to send it to his guy, Finn Balor, so that he can use it. Again, no disqualifications, no rules. and he can use that chair on Seth Rollins to get victory, and it didn't happen, folks. It did not happen. Seth Freakin Rollins instead came to just in time and was able to do his vintage boot stomp to the head right onto that fake steel chair and knock Finn Balor out cold and win the match. As he was celebrating, music hit. It was CM Punk's music. We heard earlier in the show that CM Punk was still recovering and not going to be in attendance, much to the the non-enjoyment of the crowd. They were wanting CM Punk to be there, and they got their wish, Nika, because look at this. The Muscle went up on the ramp and tried to cut off CM Punk when his music hit, but of course CM Punk wasn't coming down the main entrance ramp. He was already hiding and waiting, and he snuck up behind Seth Freakin Rollins and knocked him out and made his getaway. He got out clean, Nika.
Of course he did.
But that didn't stop what the main, I guess, outcome of this whole affair was. And as we flip to the final slide here, Seth Freakin Rollins qualifies for Money in the Bank.
Shocker.
He is making the visionary plans come to fruition, Nika. He is following in the footsteps of his dreams as he looks to take power in WWE. I think that's what he said last night.
Vision.
He wants to take power.
Yes.
And power is there for the taking. Look, this is just playing up his heel bad guy persona, and I'm here for it. I'm loving every second of it. He's going to win Money in the Bank, folks. You mark my words. The writing and the storylines are there. This is going to make WWE some bank. Seth Rollins, I happen to know, is going to be guest hosting the Rich Eisen show sometime over the summer. I think it's in July. What better way to promote it than having some hardware or at least a contract for some hardware to cash in at some point? But I'm excited for that. You know, like Seth Rollins is going to be a big multimedia star in addition to his WWE stardom. I mean, it's the natural, logical step these days for these performers to go into. They didn't have a lot of avenues after wrestling. They do now. And it involves talking. They're really good on the microphone.
If they are good, because not everybody is.
The Rock is the best. Obviously, he became an actor. John Cena did some acting as well, but he was not as good.
Yeah, he
and
fits
I think
in a different mold of a characters than Rock.
He does. But Seth Freakin Rollins has potential to go far.
Yeah.
And especially in the modern kind of 2025 bad boys are in again age.
I can see him doing a Terminator movie, rebooting of something as a bad dude. I don't know. Yeah. With Braun Breaker.
A sophisticated WWE villain sent back through time to take on Hulk Hogan and steal his championship in 1985.
Oh, boy.
What a movie that would be. Are you listening, Hollywood? You need to get more creative. All right, Nika. Well, that was Raw. It used to be called Raw is War. It felt like war last night. There was a lot of bad blood and a lot of drama going down. And
the wrestling matches didn't feel drawn out.
No, they didn't. It was a fast-moving card. I remember when we watched Raw, the first episode on Netflix, and I know maybe it was a special episode and there was a lot of boxes that they wanted to check off or cross off that night, but it just felt like it moved so slow. And I was like, really? Is this how fast it moves? This felt like it was moving faster. We had more backstage stuff going on in between matches, and the flow was just overall better. And hopefully that's a sign of things to come, that the writing is actually improving, because they have a lot of talent to work with right now. And it would be a shame if the writing is what let this era of WWE down.
Yeah.
All
Don't
right.
have a toilet flush sound, so.
All right, everybody. Well, that was this episode of the Kanika Sports Show. But before we get out of here, I just want to remind you, if you made it this far, all the way to the end, then please do us a favor and like and subscribe to our channel. Like and subscribe to the videos that we're going to be posting on our YouTube channel. We don't really mind where you listen to the podcast. It all works for us. Odyssey, Apple, Spotify.
YouTube.
We're posting it there
Instagram.
as well. So check it out and be sure to drop us a like. We really, really appreciate it. It's the one thing that helps us out more than anything. In the meantime, Nika, do you have anything you want to add before we get out of here today?
No, go watch some wrestling, baseball, football. Pick one.
Well, there's lots going to be on the TV. And, oh, by the way, we'll probably be back on the mics tomorrow and posting more content tomorrow. So stay tuned, everybody. Adios.
Have a good one. Bye.